engage in devotional service immediately. They don't have to go through uh, many hoops and leaps to do devotional service. It can begin overnight. You can begin in a second. And once you begin devotional service with the help and guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, all doubts will very quickly go away. And therefore, uh, Krishna is, let's say, and telling Arjuna, that he should simply continue acting in devotional service by following the instructions of Krishna himself, and all purposes will be served. All purposes will be served. So here it says, one who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfection stage by the Lord himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. And then the purport, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 10:10, the Lord gives intelligence to the pure devotees so that they may be elevated to the highest perfection stage. It is confirmed herein that a pure devotee who constantly engages in the loving service of the Lord is awarded all knowledge necessary to reach the supreme personality of Godhead. For such a devotee, there is nothing valuable to be achieved but the Lord's servants. If one serves faithfully, there is no possibility of frustration because the Lord himself takes charge of the devotee's advancement. So this is an important statement because it says, if uh, we serve faithfully, in other words, we have faith that what we're doing is the right thing, and we're constantly hearing every day uh, knowledge of Krishna and Krishna consciousness, and associating with good devotees who actually follow the regulatory principles strictly, that what happens is constant engagement in loving service to the Lord is awarded all knowledge necessary to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For such a devotee, there is nothing valuable to be achieved but the Lord's service, meaning the most important thing for the devotee is to be always engaged in devotional service. If one serves faithfully, there is no possibility of frustration because the Lord himself takes charge of the devotee's advancement. Whoa, that's a big statement. The Lord himself takes charge of the advancement of the devotee because of faithfully serving. The Lord is seated in everyone's heart, and he knows the devotee's motive and arranges everything achievable. In other words, the pseudo or false devotee who is anxious to achieve material gains cannot attain the highest perfectional stage because the Lord is in knowledge of his motive. We can't hide anything from Krishna. He knows what our real motive is, what our real desires are. One merely has to become sincere in his purpose, and then the Lord is there to help in every way. So, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra uh, is encapsulated, or it's saying the same thing when you say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You're praying to Srimati Radharani, and you're asking her to protect you so you can always remain in Krishna consciousness. And you're praying to Krishna to always help you make spiritual advancement. And you're praying to Lord Rama to give you the perseverance to practice Krishna consciousness very sincerely and to be able to understand what you're doing. Oftentimes, someone may follow Krishna consciousness as a fad, as something unique that they would like to try, but they're not really not really serious to be Krishna conscious. They just want to see what it's all about and practice it a little bit, so they get a little bit of name and fame, maybe. But they're not really serious about surrendering completely to Krishna. So, how do we recognize a person who's surrendered and a person who's not surrendered? A person who's surrendered does not go away, does not give up their service. When we get some service in Krishna consciousness, we should consider it the special blessing of Krishna and not let go of it and continue it, the rest of our life. Then Krishna will give us more opportunities for service. But if we serve a little bit and then say, well, I'm getting bored and give it up, that shows that there's no, let's say, determination to make spiritual progress. We make spiritual progress by service and association with devotees. Okay, so, and this usually happens when, let's say, when someone is younger, they're trying to follow Krishna consciousness and make some devotion. Gradually, their determination to be Krishna consciousness gets weaker and weaker. That's not everybody, but that's something that happens a lot, though. So we should be very careful. The Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said that modern education is actually very dangerous and can completely make you forget or not be interested anymore in Krishna consciousness. So, therefore, we should consider the best education is Krishna consciousness. Any other type of education is simply to get a job and work like a Sudra, helping to make other people rich, and helping to make the boss rich. And we, the worker makes some money, but the whole enterprise is based on forgetfulness of Krishna. It's not based on making spiritual progress. You can have a job and come every day. Some people work faithfully, not missing one day's work for like 30, 40, 50 years. And at the end, they get a gold ring or a golden watch, and that's it. That's what they achieve. They get some little gift and a party, and then they're forgotten. And that's because they came every day, in a sense, loyally to work to help make the owner rich. So what does that mean? That means you don't really get anything at the end. At the end, you might get a watch or you might have a party. Everyone congratulates you, and then you're forgotten. Right? And you sort of disappear into the oblivion of material life. And you go to a cemetery, you see all these people who died, and there's a little bit, sometimes a little description of who they were, or a picture of them on the stone. What do you call those? Anyway, you see all these dead people in the cemetery, and there's sometimes a little description of what they did in their lifetime, and you realize, yes, just like we're living now, they did so many things, but in the end, they just get a cemetery stone with a little description and people basically forget them. But here we see that we're talking about Krishna who appeared 5,000 years ago. He has not been forgotten. Uh, why? Because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we also talk about great saints. They're never forgotten, also, because the most, let's say, successful person is a person who's attained love and devotion for Krishna. So you have someone like Jesus Christ. He appeared 2,000 years ago. People are still talking about it. Right? And Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared 5,000 years ago, we're still talking about him. Right? So the real fame, the real success is to become Krishna conscious. It's not to become a very rich person or a very powerful person or a very, let's say, intelligent person. All these things might be temporarily, let's say, attractive, uh, but ultimately, those type of people are forgotten. But one who is a devotee is the most famous person because of their love and devotion for Krishna. So that's something eternal. Being a very intelligent person, like you look at someone like Einstein, he was considered a very intelligent person. Actually, he wasn't that intelligent because he wasn't Krishna conscious. He had some mundane intelligence, and he was recognized by a lot of people to be the smartest person in the world. Actually, he wasn't that smart. Uh, he was, in one sense, the father of the atomic bomb. That doesn't make you smart. That makes you mean, right? And uh, and he was very eccentric. Sometimes he would be a cross dresser. He would dress like a woman and put on women's shoes and act in a very strange way. He was. You ever hear about that? That Einstein? Yeah,
I think you want to mention.
yeah. He was eccentric in some ways. So uh, it might be a little bit dangerous being the smartest person in mundane knowledge because you begin to act in strange ways, having that type of notoriety. The best thing is to be a humble servant of the Lord and not be, let's say, enamored by fame and wealth and so forth. Like for example, Einstein, he had a wife, but he left his wife and started having illicit sex, and then he got married again, right? So he was like whimsical, very 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 whimsical guy in many ways, and his main, let's say, work of research was only for about 10, 10, 10 years. And then the rest of his life, he was just petering around. He was just, you know, basking in his fame. But he didn't really do much work or produce much more advanced, let's call it, knowledge. Of course, the advanced knowledge that he did do, uh, it was used for producing the atomic bomb. So that's not really a badge uh, of fame when you produce a weapon of mass destruction. But usually, people are enamored by weapons of mass destruction, and they make a lot of money by being able to make them more and more destructive. You know, we see that even now. Uh, the United States is very expert in weapons of mass destruction and selling them to what they call their allies or their friends to be used on other people. And that is really mean. They should, outlaw all weapons of mass destruction because what does it do? It kills people. Instead of killing one or two people, it helps you kill hundreds and thousands of people at one time. So, the advancement, the biggest advancement of science uh, today is advancing in making more and more lethal weapons. And they come up with them that more and more lethal, that is to kill people faster. So they've become rich and famous by making weapons of mass destruction. So that is not advancement of spiritual life. It's advancement of demoniac life. These weapons of mass destruction are demoniac. With one bomb, you can kill hundreds and thousands of people sometimes. So we see is a race to make more and more weapons of mass destruction. We should make experimental research more and more intense to make devotees who are completely dedicated to serving Krishna. That's where our energy should be given, not making weapons of mass destruction because that is killing people. We want people to have eternal life and not be destroyed, uh, let's say, not interrupt their opportunity to be Krishna conscious. When you're overwhelmed with war, your opportunity to be Krishna conscious is interrupted by the desire to kill the enemy. So instead of meditating on killing the enemy, we should meditate on Krishna and killing our material desires. And devotees are also killers, but not killers of the body. They're killers of the desire for sense gratification. So when they preach to someone, basically they're trying to destroy that person's faith in sense gratification. So they're murderers also, but not murderers of the body, but murderers of the desire for sense gratification. So when you're preaching to someone, you're telling them, well, you should give up illicit sex and speculation and intoxication and all these things, and you're trying to kill them, kill their desire for sense gratification, not kill their body. And you're trying to educate them in real education, not fake education. How you can build an atomic bomb. And nowadays, there's tutorials how to build an atomic bomb. So why would one want to do that? Because they want to kill more and more people faster. So this Prabhupada said this is their advancement now. They're advanced in how to kill people faster and more, developing more and more lethal bombs. And we see that. We see that there's, a race to have, uh, like the United States has an atomic bomb, right? So uh, they don't want the Iranians to have atomic bombs. And there's a race, but there's a race to make atomic bombs because that way uh, you become a powerful nation, so-called a powerful nation. A powerful nation, the real definition of a powerful nation is one in which everyone is practicing Krishna consciousness. That's real power. How to control yourself and how to worship the Lord with love and devotion. Now you have really powerful people. Their power to not engage in any sinful activity is real power. But if power is judged by how lethal the weapons are that you can produce, and because of that, how much you can scare other people and frighten them and kill them. Like you can look, the Americans have given so many weapons to the Israelis, and the Israelis have killed so many people. Every week the number goes up. They're up to over 37,000 deaths by their bombs and their shooting and so forth. This is horrible. Uh, it's not a nice thing to hear about, uh, and how the number of kids and adults are being murdered in the genocide. Okay, so this verse says, nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. Well, that's what we should try and do. Not please our sense desires for sense gratification, our desires for sense gratification, but rather uh, we want to be, we want Krishna to be pleased. Uh, and when it says nothing remains unachieved, that means that you can attain all heights of spiritual perfection uh, when you please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. Well, uh, people get what you call Nobel Prizes, and it's considered a great achievement. But what people should be really trying to attain is transcendental achievement. So, what is transcendental achievement? Well, first of all, you're not interested in sense gratification anymore. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage by the Lord Himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. So, this is what we should, if you want to achieve something, this is what we should achieve: the help of the Lord to navigate us through all the problems of life and protect us because of our unalloyed and unadulterated devotional service. So that by unwavering devotional service, Krishna takes over and guides us always. That's what we should achieve. That is an achievement, to get the protection and help of Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Desam Satyayuktanam Bhajatam Pratipurvakam Dadami Buddhiyogam Tam Yenamam Utpayantite. The Lord gives intelligence to the pure devotees so that they may be elevated to the highest perfectional stage. The Lord gives intelligence, not the so-called professors in the universities. It's Krishna that gives intelligence, and so that they may be elevated to the highest perfectional stage. And what is that? Pure love and service for Krishna. It is confirmed herein that a pure devotee who constantly engages in loving service to the Lord is awarded all knowledge necessary to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Well, it didn't say by studying and passing tests you are awarded the highest perfectional stage. When you become a pure devotee, then you are elevated to the highest perfectional stage of human achievement, because you'll go back to Godhead, because you can influence many thousands and thousands of people to go back to Godhead. That is real achievement that has an eternal benefit. Most other things are just temporary benefits. Most other achievements are temporary benefits, and they lead to what? They lead to continuing in the cycle of birth and death, not going back to Godhead. Okay, so it is confirmed herein that a pure devotee who constantly engages in loving service is awarded all knowledge necessary to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, this says they're awarded this. That means that they did not make the effort of studying mundane knowledge, passing tests, and getting recognition as a PhD or whatever. Uh, Rather, one is awarded what? One is awarded to be elevated to the highest perfectional stage. The pure devotee who constantly engages in loving service of the Lord is awarded all knowledge necessary to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not that they get all knowledge how to make an atomic bomb and kill thousands of people. It's not anything that is materially, let's say, attractive. For a devotee, nothing materially attractive is attractive. They're only interested in Krishna and Krishna consciousness. They're not interested in the stock market. They're not interested in so many other material goals that people may have. So, one who engages in the loving service of Krishna is awarded all knowledge necessary to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For such a devotee, there is nothing valuable to be achieved but the Lord's service. In other words, the most valuable thing for the devotee is to be engaged in devotional service. And if one serves faithfully, there's no possibility of frustration because the Lord himself takes charge of the devotee's advancement. Whoa. He takes charge of our advancement when we're really serious about serving Krishna. That's what we need. That's what we need, the Lord's help at every stage of our life, and especially our spiritual advancement. And now Prabhupada is revealing the secret, how to do that. For such a devotee, for such a devotee, there's nothing valuable to be achieved but the Lord's service. If one serves faithfully, there's no possibility of frustration. Now, there's a lot of frustration today in the world, and a lot of frustrated people because they can't get what they want. They want more sense gratification, and they can't get it, and they get angry, and they become sometimes vicious because they can't get their sense gratification. That's why you hear of all kinds of crimes that are being perpetrated today because people can't get what they want. If they wanted Krishna, they could get that rather easily. But they don't want Krishna, they want sense gratification. And that's hard. It's not easy to have, let's say, continual sense gratification. It's like a lion. A lion doesn't have something to eat every day because all the animals in the jungle are trying to avoid the association of the lion, right? So when he catches some animal, when he's lucky enough to catch an animal, it's not every day that they catch animals because they're all trying to avoid the lion. Then the lion goes and hides that carrion or that piece of meat and eats it little by little because it's not easy for the lion to catch animals every day because all the animals are trying to avoid the lion, right? So we see how, in nature, we can learn a lot of things by studying nature and by studying, the animal world also. The most powerful or the king of the, let's say, the animals like the lion, he doesn't get a chance to eat every day. And if he catches something, he has to sort of hide it and eat it little by little. He doesn't catch animals every day because all the animals are trying to avoid his association or avoid being caught by the lion. So you can see there's like a competition going on in nature where the big animals trying to eat the small animal, right? And obviously, the small animals are not saying, "Hey, come over here. I'm here. You can eat me." No, they're trying to avoid the lions and the tigers and things like that. So it's not an easy life for a lion. Not an easy life because he doesn't get something to eat every day. He's got to really expend his energy to catch some type of animal and to eat it. So it's no fun being a lion, let's put it like that. But being a devotee is a lot of fun because you can easily become happy by chanting Hare Krishna because it's all about chanting and dancing and having nice prasadam. We're not in a penury or we're not, let's say, uh, starving. Krishna is supplying these things that are necessary for our life and making it easy for us. So you go to the temple, you don't have to pay a penny. You can get nice prasadam, right? and the devotees, no, uh, they are uh, happy to distribute more and more prasadam to the materialistic people so that they can get a taste of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so now it says, for those who constantly engage in loving service to the Lord, they are awarded all knowledge necessary to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the real knowledge, how to go back to Godhead, how to attain eternal life, how to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For such a devotee, there's nothing valuable to be achieved but the Lord's service. If one serves faithfully, there's no possibility of frustration because the Lord himself takes charge of the devotee's advancement. Well, that's good news. The Lord himself is going to take charge of our advancement. That's the, let's say, the level that we want to achieve in our relationship with the Lord when he will take charge of our spiritual advancement. And it's possible. It's not impossible. In fact, all it requires is to surrender to the Lord. Now, what does it mean to surrender? This is very good things. Surrender, normally it has a bad connotation to it, but that depends on who you surrender to. Like if you surrender to a demon, then you're in big trouble. But if you surrender to Krishna, all your troubles are over. So you have to have the intelligence to know who you should surrender to. So let's say sometimes, a teenager will surrender to a demon, a nasty person, and their whole life is ruined by that type of surrender. That's why surrender has, in general, a negative connotation to it, a negative meaning, but not surrender to God or Krishna. That is the only person we should surrender to because Krishna is kind and he'll give us real protection. Sometimes people surrender to powerful people, but those powerful people are contaminated with the desire to exploit nature and people. And although they promise to maintain you, but actually their real purpose is to exploit you. But Krishna is different. When we surrender to Krishna, he maintains his devotee. Kuntiya pratijanihi nami bhakta pranashyati. And he promises that my devotee will never perish. So he protects his devotee in all circumstances. So that's the best protection that we can get. Okay, if one serves faithfully, there's no possibility of frustration because the Lord himself takes charge of the devotee's advancement. The Lord is seated in everyone's heart, and he knows the devotee's motive. and arranges everything achievable. Mhm. So, how do we develop a motive? Well, it's by association. Now, if you associate with criminals, uh, just like recently there was a very successful bank robbery by a group of people who meditated, made plans, and achieved their goal. They were able to get a $30 million in a bank robbery. Now they're going to get caught. It's just a matter of time. These bank robberies, they never end. They keep going on. Even though uh, the people that do the bank robberies, they get caught. There's always one person on the inside. There's always one person on the inside, that knows, how the bank works and what time they get money and what room in which in the bank they're counting all the money and so forth. In some banks get, millions and millions of dollars. It's not easy to transfer millions of dollars. It gets like really heavy, and then you have to count it. So that can take hours and hours to count millions of dollars, right? And there's always some room in the bank where they count the money, and then they have to put it in the vault, and so forth. And then usually the criminals, they have someone on the inside who knows, what times and when and where things are happening, and it makes it much easier for them. And then they find where the weakest points in the building of the bank that they can get into. It's usually through the roof. They usually always come through the roof because it's let's say the weakest part of the bank, and they figure out a way of not uh, uh, you know being not setting off the alarm system, say. So in this way, no one knows that the bank is being robbed by, let's say, yeah, getting rid of the alarm system. So to be a robber, you have to do a lot of studying. You know, to rob a bank, you have to know, somehow or other, you have to get a what do you call um, the information of what's in the bank, where everything is, and the timings when the money is being counted, and it's a lot of work. It's not like you just shouldn't walk in the bank and rob them. Of course, there are idiots that do things like that, and they get caught right away, and they don't get much money either. They get maybe if you go into a bank and put a gun in front of the teller and say, "Give me your money," well, right away the teller puts her hand underneath the table, right, and presses a button, and the police will be there in about 5 or 10 minutes. In the meantime, the teller says, "Well, wait a minute, I have to do this and I have to do that." They're just keeping the robber engaged, and because they know the police will be there in 5 minutes or 7 minutes, right? And the robber keeps saying, "God, do it quicker, do it quicker." You're going too slow, right? So it's the same, let's say, drama every time that there's a robbery, because the robbers know they only have a few minutes to get this money and run away as fast as they can. Can you imagine the nervous tension that the robber has because they know they have to do it very quickly. It's not easy to be a robber, You have to, plan everything. It's harder than working honestly. Believe me, it's harder. And then when you steal a lot of money, there's a lot of problems. Sometimes they have ways of tracking the money nowadays. Uh, Not for every dollar, but for some parts of the that some dollars, or they can put something into the dollar that can be tracked. So it's a very dangerous business, and the banks are always coming up with ways of easily catching the robbers, and the robbers are always trying to find out those things and neuter them. So this is, a cat and mouse fight. The mouse is always trying to find ways to hide themselves from the cat, and the cat's always trying to find a way of eating the mice. So it's happening on the level of mice and cat, and it's also happening on the level of human beings, the bank and the robbers. So see, a bank is, it's a perfect target for a robber because they have a huge amount of money, and they have very usually don't have a lot of police or people with guns that are ready to kill the robbers. Some banks have uh, no security at all, right? And they may hardly ever be robbed, but eventually the robbers, they like to choose the smaller banks in quiet neighborhoods, and they also study how they can how fast they can get in and get out. It's really a very difficult let's say study that they have to make to find out how to get in and out quickly. And then once they get out, sometimes there are uh, you know dollars that have some type of tracker. That way they can get caught very quickly. So they have to make sure that there's no, let's say, hidden things in the money that can reveal where they are. And also, they have another problem is how to spend that money. Uh, like oftentimes, the robbers, they have these bad habits. They like to go gambling, and they like to drink and alcohol and take drugs and things like that. And they get caught because after the robbery, the police start looking in the casinos and places like that where robbers go to have fun, have fun, gambling and engaging in all kinds of illicit activities. So it's not fun to be a robber because you're always worried about getting caught. So therefore, if you never, cheat and lie, and you never steal, you don't have anything to worry about. You can go to sleep peacefully at night, wake up peacefully, and work honestly. But if you're a robber, you're always worried about getting caught. Now, there are some clever robbers that never get caught, but they get caught by Yamaraj. So they do that. They always get caught, but sometimes they get away with their robbery from the police, but they're going to get caught by Yamaraj. So it's not a good thing to engage in that type of nasty, uh, you know, let's call it a profession. And for some people, it is a profession. They can get caught, go to jail, and they come out, and again they plan robberies and things like that. Again, they get caught, go to jail, but they can't stop it. They can't stop doing it. There was one black guy. He had you know committed a crime, and he was caught, and then he had to spend time in jail, and they let him out after some time, and immediately he did it again. Immediately, he didn't learn his lesson by going to jail. So uh, we have to not begin a life of theft and cheating and lying. Yeah, yeah. It looks like it. but they always get caught. See, that's the thing.
Some movies, Maharaj, they show like these heroes, they are robbing the bank, and after that they're distributing money to the poor people, so they become like heroes. So, but they're doing everything to achieve it.
Well, that just shows you that how stupid people are to accept money or services from thieves. I had a friend. Uh, he one day I saw that he had purchased a very expensive thing, video or something like that, and I said, you know, oh no! And as soon as he saw me, he wanted to show me what he had purchased, and he was very proud to say that he only had to pay $25 for it. I said, "What?" I said, $25. That thing's worth, $1,500. He said, "Yeah, but I bought it from a robber." I said, "Why would you do that?" I said, "Now the robber knows who you are and where you live." Right?
Then they might have a trap in them and then
And he said, "Well, no, no, no. It's okay." So fast forward a couple days after that, in the middle of the night, we were sort of like neighbors, right? So in the middle of the night, I heard him screaming, "Harry, Harry, help!" I wake up, I thought, did I hear that? Or, in the middle of the night, so you're not sure whether you were dreaming or it was real. So I sort of look out the window and see, if I can see anything. And then again, it's Harry. Then I realized my friend, he only lives, a few houses away from me. And he was being robbed by the guy who sold him, by the same guy who sold him the stolen, whatever it was. So that's but I told him, I said, you should never buy something from a thief. But now he knows who you are and where you live. He said, no, no, that's okay. But then no, it's not okay. That's the way the thieves that have successful thievery. They know who you are, where you are, and they can rob you easily. So he got robbed by the robber who sold him the stolen thing. I mean, reality is more, amazing than fiction because things are happening in life that you couldn't even imagine that such things can happen. You couldn't even write a fictional book. So here he is. He buys something from a robber, and then the robber comes and steals it from him. You know, because he knows the address, he knows who it is, and so forth. So we have to be very careful in life not to associate with bad people because it's like charcoal. If charcoal, uh, it can burn you or it can make your hand black. So you're not going to be a winner with charcoal. Same thing. You're not going to be a winner with thieves. Somewhere or other, they're going to get you. You know. Okay. So uh, if one serves faithfully, there is no possibility of frustration because the Lord Himself takes charge of the devotee's achievement. Now, that one sentence is enough to convince a, let's say, sincere person to become Krishna conscious. Because this is what we want. If one serves faithfully, there's no possibility of frustration. You know how much frustration there is in this world? So many people are frustrated and angry because they can't get what they want. And that's because they want things that are not actually beneficial for them. If one serves faithfully, there's no possibility of frustration because the Lord Himself takes charge of the devotee's advancement. That's what we should want. We should want that the Lord is helping us and takes charge of our spiritual advancement. The Lord is seated in everyone's heart, and He knows the devotee's motive and arranges everything achievable. In other words, the pseudo devotee or the false devotee who is anxious to achieve material gains cannot attain the highest perfectional stage because the Lord is in knowledge of his motive. 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 So, if we have pure motives, then the Lord knows that. But if we have impure motives, the Lord also knows. So, uh, in other words, the pseudo devotee or the false devotee, one who's masquerading as a devotee, uh, the Lord is seated in everyone's heart, and He knows the devotee's motive and arranges everything achievable. Well, that means what the karma of the devotee is, and there's limits to what they can achieve due to their past karma. In other words, the pseudo devotee, or the false devotee, who is anxious to achieve material gains, cannot attain the highest perfectional stage because the Lord is in knowledge of his motive. One merely has to become sincere in his purpose, and then the Lord is there to help in every way. So, sincere means you can't be a leader, a liar, a cheater. You have to be a genuine devotee, and you might not be really intelligent. Really intelligent. You might not have, uh, the ability of making a lot of money or whatever. But the Lord is going to help you in many many ways. So this requires faith. So you have to put faith in Krishna, not faith in some robber who tells you, "Oh, we can do this and we'll get away with it." You can't get away with anything that is evil. You're eventually going to get caught. And you can see, all these movies, or even the real, you know, documentaries about robbers. They eventually all get caught and they go to jail. But still, when they come out of jail, they'll rob again. See? So that's, the bankrupt culture of thieves and liars and so forth. They're all going to get caught uh, eventually and end up in jail or end up being killed or whatever. So why even think of such a thing? You shouldn't even think of stealing anything. It's like sometimes, you go to the supermarket and you buy something, you go to the checkout counter, and the lady behind the cash register makes a mistake, and gives you more money than out of a mistake than you should get. So what do? You just stay quiet and go away and don't let her know that she made a mistake, or do you say, no, no, you gave me too much money? Oh, oh, thank you very much, right? So these are decisions that we have to make. Am I going to say something, or am I not going to say something and just walk away with the money? And later on, at the end of the day, when they count all the cash, they see something's missing. Right? Then they can't figure out what happened. Right. So if things, if there's regularly something missing, then eventually the store will fire the worker because they have to make the account at the end of the day, and there should be nothing missing. Okay, so the Lord is seated in everyone's heart, and He knows the devotee's motive and arranges everything achievable. In other words, the pseudo devotee who is anxious to achieve material gains cannot attain the highest perfectional stage because the Lord is in knowledge of his motive. One merely has to become sincere in his purpose, and then the Lord is there to help in every way. That's all you have to know. You want to have a successful life, you just have to know those two sentences right there. You have to, because it explains what you should not do and explains how you can be successful in two sentences. That's called real literature. See? Real literature. In two sentences, it solves the whole problem of life. And Prabhupada, explains like that. This is real literature. Two sentences, the whole let's say, secret to having a peaceful life is given to you. Haribol. Okay, so his time is up. All right. Haribol. So we just learned this one thing. In other words, the pseudo devotee who is anxious to achieve material gains cannot attain the highest perfection stage because the Lord is the knowledge of his motive. One merely has to become sincere in his motive. Prabhupada is explaining how to be successful. Simple English. Right? Now, if you read, Aurobindo, for example. Now, Aurobindo, in his younger age, was a devotee. It's good. Prabhupada talks about him. But later, and you can see the way he writes. I mean, he's like very, very brilliant person. But then he met this lady that corrupted him completely. And after that, he became insignificant. He's still famous today, but I mean, his whole, let's say, production of knowledge and everything became contaminated by this lady that he got married to. I don't even know if they were married, but they were together. And he started glorifying his girlfriend and said that she was an incarnation of Durga. Just to show you how crazy people can be. And she was a Jewish lady. She was a Jewish lady that hooked up with Aurobindo and basically ruined his life. So anyway, there are many, many stories. Uh, but the best stories are Krishna's pastimes. So we can learn what to do and what not to do by reading the pastimes of the Lord. Haribol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Questions?
Hare Krishna.
Starting Maharaj, the example you are giving that on the teller, like whether you will tell them you gave me the extra money
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
So it's a decision we take.
It's a decision, yeah.
In my childhood, Maharaj, one of my uncles, he taught me the law of karma. That if you take one penny from anyone, you have to return.
Yeah.
So it got
Either in this life or the next life.
Just one small thing in my childhood. So I was like meditating on it.
Yeah.
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 I'm not taking one penny.
He
And
was
it helped in many ways.
he was a real uncle. Yeah. We should learn good things from our parents and our relatives.
When I met him 2 years back, I told him thank you.
Thank you.
Still using your advice.
Yeah. But see, this is correct. This is correct. The elders should educate the children. So that way it avoids a lot of problems in life. It's always beneficial to be honest, even if it looks like you're a loser. By being honest all the time, you're not a loser, and you'll see, because the people who are not honest, they always get caught and they're punished. Right? There's one lady, she got caught just recently. She's a Filipino. She stole $44 million. That's a huge amount of money. 44 million. I got away with it for a long time, and then she got caught. Now she's in jail, and they're not able to get all the money back. They got a little bit of it back, right? That means she's willing to go to jail because she's hidden the money somewhere, and she's willing to go to jail because eventually she might get out and she'll have all that money. You see, it's stupid, you know.
Is there a valid life like in the service of the Lord?
Is there what? Is there what?
Is it valid to lie in the service of the Lord?
Yeah,
to facilitate the service.
Yeah. If you're gonna uh, tell the truth, like let's say some robbers come and they're looking for this rich family in the neighborhood, and and the family members heard about the robbers in the neighborhood, and they went hiding. And they ask you, they say, "Well, you're the neighbor. Where are they hiding?" If you tell them where the neighbors are, and they go and kill them and rob them, you get punished. You get karma. So, so you shouldn't always tell the truth if it's going to harm someone else, right?
I shared this example for a long time. That there was a saying to always be true, and then Robert came to that
Yeah,
saying, and
they say you made a promise to always tell the truth. Tell me where the people are so I can rob them. Yeah.
Even Yudhishthir falls into the same trap,
Mm.
right? Like when during the Jew, like the
Gambling?
gambling,
Yeah.
Shakuni traps him with that statement saying that you have always
Tell the truth.
tell the truth, and then now he uses that to trap him in.
Yeah. So, in certain circumstances, you don't have to tell the truth. It's that if by telling the truth, you're going to, you know, let robbers know or murderers know where someone is, you get karma for that. You know, so we should never lie, but in certain circumstances, you can lie, but only in very certain circumstances. You know. If it's going to hurt someone else by telling the truth, then you should not. I mean, the best thing is, so I don't know. You say, what do you mean you don't know? Well, I don't. But or you have to lie, one or the other, so to save someone else's life. So these are lessons we learn in life, little by little. If we have bona fide spiritual persons teaching us, because you know, if a kid is not taught these things, then they're going to make a lot of mistakes in their life, and sometimes it can ruin their life because they never were taught properly. You know? So normally we should never lie, and we should never cheat or anything like that. But it is okay to tell a lie if you're going to save a person's life. So you know, if a robber tells you, you know, where is this so and so person, where they're hiding their money, so I don't. Well, you. What do you mean you don't know? You know? Well, you can say I don't know. You know, and they can't force you. They'll try and force you to find out. But it's best not to know. It's best not to know the secrets of other people because sometimes you can become a victim because you know the secrets of some other person, and and people that find out that you know the secrets, they can force you to tell them, and now you're become an accomplice to theft or murder. You know? So it's best not to know things. Also, I mean, we should know as much as we can about Krishna consciousness, but we shouldn't be interested in the private lives of other people. Like I remember a relative of my family uh, came to see my father, and my father was not a rich man, uh, and but this other guy was rich. So he said, "I want you to keep this money uh, safe for me." So, and my father said, "Why don't you put it in the bank?" He said, "No, no, no, I don't want to put it in the bank. It was a black money." and he's and he gave my father, you know, a huge amount of money. He knew my father was an honest person, right? But when my mother found out that, you know, he had this large amount of money in the house, she said, "Why did you do that?" He said, if the thieves find out, they come and kill us, take the money." And that's what the other guy was afraid of. That's why he gave the money to my father to hold. So if the thieves come to his house, there's nothing, right? And he knew my father was an honest guy. He would give him back the money, which he did. So we have to be very careful. We don't want to get mixed up with those type of people that use you for their own benefit. Use you for their own benefit, and it's usually about money. Uh, so it's better not to have friends like that. Who are crazy about money, and then they want you to help them protect their money. Uh, there are people like that. Maybe you've never encountered that, but there are people like that. They try and use you for their own benefit. So we should be used by Krishna, not by anybody else. Haribol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Yeah, there's in real life, there's shocking things that you could never really imagine. And so in real life, there's things more shocking than in movies and things like that. All you have to do is read the newspaper. You see how crazy people are. And crazy things they're doing, and you couldn't even imagine it doing it yourself. But then there are these idiots that are doing terrible things, and they don't get away with it. They get caught, and you think, what's going on? What's wrong with people today? Haribo.
What's amazing, Maharaj, is that we only hear them maybe in newspapers, but many times, almost all the times, you personal experience of the people that you come across. It's amazing what experiences you use. The story of buying something from the robber.
That's a real thing. I told him, I said, you should never buy something from a robber. Now he knows where you live, and and he comes to steal the thing that he sold to you. You buy a new video camera or something, for $20. That's a mistake, believe me. Now he knows where you live, and he'll come back and steal it back from or maybe steal more. Uh, I told him, I said, you should never buy something from a thief. I said, what do you know? Okay.
It's a very good example, Maharaj. It's like associating with bad people.
Oh yeah, it's like charcoal. If it doesn't make your hand black, it'll burn you one way or the other. Either you get burned or you get black. You can't win with the charcoal. It's the same with a bad person. You can't win with a bad person. Haribo.
Hare Krishna. We'll see you again all tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.